And there we go. And now we'll share. There we are. And we go. Okay. So here's the Ignite sessions. It's Ignite 2017 is where you can go watch your previous ones on the YouTube channel, on our KWREI YouTube channel. So, all right, let's take a look at the leaderboard, you guys. The leaderboard. How's it going? What are our struggles? Because we've got contacts in the database. Sheila, 31. Tammy, awesome. Rachel, Justin, Maria is on there with 0. I don't know how you get on there with 0, but there we go. But there we go. Connections, Tammy, Maria, Sheila, Justin, Rachel, killing it. Tammy, Sheila, Mitchell, Justin, Rachel, Maria, Kim, Homes Previewed, good job. Sheila, Justin, Maria, Tammy. So appointments. Now I notice what you guys are on here. If you see the appointments and the agreements, if you guys are going on an appointment, get it in there too. And that's in milestones rather than your daily 10-4. So when you go in and put it in there, the milestones are your contracts. Because we would love to see how many appointments and how many signed agreements we're getting from Ignite by the end. We want to see that. So you guys come on to this side. That way the teacher can talk to you this way. There's a couple more seats on this way. I know. Everybody scooch together. Look friendly. So that way. Oh, you're going to do compliance as well. Okay, that's all right. So you guys get your stuff in, thedaily104.com. This is the way this goes on to your multi-year trends. So you'll be able to look back and see, okay, how did my activities look when I was in Ignite doing the things that I'm supposed to be trying to do? It's going to help you keep motivated on that. So go back in there. If we had a couple weeks, get everything in and move that way. So what else are we struggling with? We're 2.5 weeks in. We should be having business. We should be starting to feel busy. We should be starting to feel overwhelmed. Time blocking. You're feeling it, right? Anybody else feel the time blocking? If they don't have it scheduled, things are not getting done. Amen. That is so true. I mean, you can work all night long. By the time you're done, if you don't have a calendar, it's absolutely true. And that will continue to happen. That will continue to happen. So you guys, this is what I want. This is your new mantra for the rest of Ignite. Be comfortable in chaos. Don't try to line it all up and put it all in boxes. There are going to be things that are chaotic. There are going to be things that don't work exactly right. There are going to be things that you're not getting done. Just get okay with the chaos. Okay?
Okay, so I'm so glad you said that, because my question on that is, okay, we be comfortable with chaos.
No.
Never.
Nope, never. Yeah. It is. That is exactly. Say that again, Steve.
That's what systems are for.
The systems are what keep things moving along. If you're fly by the seat of your pants, hair on fire, and you're living in chaos, things are not getting done. The systems are what gets it done. So if you don't have a system, so we think about the MREA, and they talk about lead gen and the lead generation model, they talk about having a system. When I get a lead, I plug it into a system. Whoa. Who do I have? I thought I have everybody muted.
I just joined. How do I mute?
Oh, there's Savannah. Hey, I'll mute. Yes, Savannah. So yeah, it is absolutely the systems that keep us going. If we get a lead, there should be something that happens and it just automatically happens. We don't have to think, what should I do next? What should I do next? What should I do next? We should be going in. Now, have I shown you guys the 192 tasks? So in the MREA book, you have the 192 tasks, which is basically, that's how many tasks you need to, kellerinc.com, I-N-K. This is where you buy all your books, kellerinc.com. So when you go into this, MREA says there's 192 tasks that need to be done on every transaction. What it does is it outlines them. And then as you start to grow, it shows you which ones are priorities and which one needs to be done. Then the first time you add admin, then which goes to them and which stays with you. And it goes all the way through as you add people to your team who does what. But for you guys, you have a list of everything that should be done. You can create your checklists and systems from that. So you go right into here and you scroll right down to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and you click here and you scroll down here. You can buy an awesome, they have a great poster, by the way. And here, look at all these downloads available to you. So there is the 192 tasks. Yep, kellerinc.com. And then go to, here's your economic model exercise. There's a chart of accounts. All of this is free to download from kellerinc.com.
Could you go back up and click on that crazy old poster thing?
Oh yeah, this is so cute. It's kind of a fun visual to have in your office. It has all of the MREA models in it, so it's kind of neat. They have one for the shift also, so kind of fun. But yeah, if you guys go down and look at the downloads, if you're like, I don't know what I should do, how do I begin my checklist? Grab this 192 task list for megas. Let's download it and take a look at it. Is everybody remotely seeing this?
Yes, I can see it,
There we
Jessica.
go. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. I've muted everybody. That's my fault. Okay, so if I go down and I open up this is just an Excel spreadsheet.
Wow.
Here are all the tasks. Wait for it. Look at that. There are all the tasks. And when you look at that, you say, okay, what do I need to do? Now you'll see in this first column, level 1 is single agent. The level 1 of the MREA organization model is single agent. So when you look at this, you're going to say, okay, what is the agent's job to do? Everything that is X'd is the job, but the P's are the priorities. These are the must-dos priorities. And you look at that, contact management, database, lead tracking, coordination, produce graphics and feature sheets. That's just something you should do, but it's not a priority. Isn't that neat? You go down through and you're like, what should I be doing? Here it all is. And you start with the priorities. Now, what's really awesome about this is when I add an admin, what should they start doing? What's my part and what's their part? Now, you'll notice executive admin or agent assistant. Now you've added what their job is and what are their priorities and what are their tasks. Now, if you're a buyer's agent on a team, what's your job? Look at this. Level 3 is admin manager and TC. Level 4, there's buyer specialist. BS. You guys are the BS.
Thank you.
So, I know, right? It's a good day to say that. And you'll notice you'll start to look down and you'll start to see what are my priorities and my tasks.
What's the difference between a buyer's agent and a buyer's
Specialist,
Yeah.
same.
Okay.
MRE just calls it a buyer specialist. But you'll notice that as we move through, you go to agent, admin manager, TC, transaction coordinator, lead manager, telemarketer, lead buyer specialist, and listing specialist. Right? And it goes all the way to 7th level. So in essence, level 3, this is where a lot of agents really just hang their hat. If you guys can make a lot of money just with great admin and never adding another agent. A lot of money. Because if you go on vacation and you have 2 admins still working and 1 is licensed, can your business still kind of keep moving forward? Yeah, someone's answering the phone. Someone can set an appointment. Someone can even do a CMA and do all those kind of things. You don't ever have to move all the way to having another agent taking care of those things if you don't want to. But I will tell you what will happen is in level 1 as an agent, when you stop working, it's all out the door. And that's okay. It just means your time is on everything else. Okay? So I would encourage you guys, if you guys haven't stopped and spoken with Brandy Knight, she is transaction coordinating. Per contract, no obligation, as many as you need or as little as you need. And for like $200 at closing, she'll do all that stuff in the agent assistant column. For $200 at closing. If you don't make any money, you don't pay her. I would encourage you to utilize those services. I would encourage you to do that. The reason is it is so easy to get caught up working in your business as soon as you have a transaction. And what happens? What's the first thing that goes out the door? Lead gen. And that's how you make your money. And most of us like it that way. Why do you think we like it that happens? Because we're all a bunch of chickens. We're all hoping we can stop lead genning. No, we don't hope, but we kind of hope, right? Our subconscious wants us to stop lead genning because it's boring and uncomfortable. And our conscious is like, oh no, I got to do it. But when the subconscious doesn't want to do it, your gut, it is a hard battle. And Bold says if your conscious and subconscious don't align, your goal's not going to get there. You got to align your subconscious and your conscious. Well, what happens if all you have to do is lead gen? You've given someone else all the other tasks. It's a little harder to be busy to avoid all the other stuff. So I would encourage you, if you haven't stopped and spoken with Brandy, Go up there and just find out a little more about her, what her services are. And you'll find out in your first beginning sessions, and especially your first couple months, if you'll focus on lead gen, you'll have enough money. And it will feel a lot better having a couple deals in the pipeline than trying to hold on to that one deal. And when that falls apart, your world is hard to keep in real estate. It is hard. Brittany Hobson came in, I've talked to her last month or something, and she's just like, I just had 3 deals fall apart. She's like, I'm getting out of real estate. I can't take this. Well, because, you're working on them and you're working on them and you're working on them. And there's no guarantee they're going to stay together. Life happens. It just is the way it works. So you guys have got to get past that. I've got to get that closed or my life is over. And that's how it feels when you have just a few in the pipeline. So when you focus on dealing with what's already in there, you get sucked into that mindset. But if you can be consistent on getting that lead gen. So think about that transaction coordinating. But this is a great way to start your checklist on how I'm going to put my stuff together. And Brandy also can help you with that if you have her transaction coordinate for you. But in essence, right here, planning and leadership and lead generation, those are your big areas as an individual agent. Because that will give you enough money. And if you live in the chaos, you're going to find out you have great results. So does everyone understand how to get there? This is also in KW Connect. If you look up 192 tasks in KW Connect, I've uploaded this. I don't know why I am the one that uploaded that from Keller Williams, but I was. People are like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, this is like basic Keller Williams stuff. So, okay, any questions on that as we get going? 192 tasks, leaderboard, get your stuff in there. YouTube, you know how to find the stuff. Okay, so let's talk about our missions. How are our missions going? Is homework getting hard to do when no one makes you do it? Right? Now you guys are in high school and no one's checking your homework. It gets a lot harder. I wish nobody would have checked my homework in high school. No, I don't. That would have been terrible. I can't imagine what would have happened. So in that, you guys get in there. Get in there and get those done. Everything in there is going to give you more knowledge and more confidence. So get into your missions and get that done. Okay, so what we've got, let's get moving this way. All right, we have 10 minutes. Do you think we can get 5 phone calls done in 10 minutes? 12 minutes? Everybody got 5 people to call? Let's get in there. Let's get started. Let's do our 5 contacts. If you need to do some follow-up, but I would love brand new contacts. So get out, make some phone calls, and let's see if we can get some leads done. 10 minutes. 10 minutes up there in internet land. And we're going to get started. So, okay, so we've got, so everybody, now what do you do? Now that we've made a few calls, what's the next thing you do? Send them a note card or send them a Facebook message. If you didn't get a hold of them, maybe you track to call them back. If you haven't, whatever you do, make sure to get those in. Now, today is about finding and showing homes. So previewing homes, I'm hoping you guys have all been previewing homes. It will be a great discussion with Lisa today to say, okay, talk about as you're previewing, how can you utilize that to get better so that when you show homes or when you're talking about it, this is where the rubber meets the road and starting to gain knowledge on inventory. And Lisa is excellent at that. And she'll contribute what it means to keep previewing homes and how it works. Okay, handwritten notes. Let's make sure we do that. And Lisa Trainor. So Lisa will tell you a little bit about herself rather than me telling her about you. I mean, telling
what you know about me.
So Lisa's been in the business 4 years, and she originally started out not on a team as an individual agent, and then joined a team, but then that wasn't the right fit for her, and joined another team and has been there now almost 2 years.
She's good.
Thank you. Not a clap. Thanks, you guys. You're killing me.
That's more than I do.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, so she's fantastic. She's an excellent buyer's agent, excellent at this, and really is a great vast knowledge. So I want you guys' goal today to get out of this class going, how can I show less homes? How can I help a buyer get more into understanding what they need so I show less homes? And Lisa will probably share a few stories of pain when you can't get them to their needs and you just keep showing houses. Not a good time. So, and as individual agents, that just takes up your time. So that's what I want your goal to be out. Everything that you think about, how can I show less homes and get the buyer what they need? So, okay, Lisa, you're up.
Thanks,
And I hear
Jess.
you're getting out early. So that's
And you
exciting.
are getting out early. I have a closing at 11:30, so we're getting out at 11:25. Somebody,
Title company's close.
yeah, it is right across the street. Love that. Okay, so just told you everything you need to know.
Oh, last thing, don't hit the wall. Let's keep this going. You guys are doing awesome.
You guys are doing awesome. Last time I taught Ignite, there were 3 people in the room, and I may have been one of them. I think it might have been LaToya, O'Devery, and Dwayne. There were 4 of us. So this is impressive. I came down, I'm like, they're all here. So,
Check your previous ones. So, sorry, Lisa.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Okay. So this title makes me want to break into High School Musical song or something, but I don't sing, so I won't, but saw that many times. So I have been a buyer's agent all along. I've listed 1 house in my career. Didn't enjoy it one bit. And so I decided, you know what? I think I am a buyer's agent. So even when I was on my own solo right in the beginning, which I was for almost a year, I pretty much just worked with buyers and loved it. I've only had 1 or 2 buyers that made me think, maybe I don't like real estate at all. And maybe I should find something else to do. But it's funny, the next buyer would come along and they just would be wonderful people. And I would enjoy it so much that other one, that bad experience just disappeared and the bad taste in my mouth went away eventually. So, all right, let's go through. Okay, so let's go through the statistics. Who has, who's on Get Your Head in the Game and has the statistics pulled up? I can just read them, or there you go. Better. Go ahead and read those for us.
88% of buyers purchase their homes through a real estate agent.
Are you on page 11?
I am, but now I'm wondering if I got the right course.
8.
Find and win buyers is number 8. No.
Find and show homes. You've got them? Okay, I'm going to switch to this guy. I forgot your name. Matt, thank you.
Okay, so
Thank you, though.
NAR statistics.
Yes, and these are from 2014. So they're a little dated, but they'll apply.
The typical home buyer searches for 10 weeks and 10 homes. 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. Excuse me, 50% of buyers use a mobile website or application in their home search.
Use your mobile app.
98% of buyers who used an agent view real estate agents as a useful information source. More than 50% of buyers reported finding the right home was the most difficult step in the home buying process. 24% of recent home buyers reported the primary reason for the recent home purchase was a desire to own a home. 9% purchased a new home due to a job-related relocation or move. 8% bought for the desire to be in a better area or a change in family situation.
Do any of those, I forgot to say hi to Pocatello, and then I feel like Romper Room, and all of our friends at home who are joining us. So, hey, you guys. Oh, I'm looking at the screen. You're up there. Thanks for coming. So is there anything in those stats that is surprising to you or that gave you an aha? One of the first things I noticed was that almost 25% of buyers are first-time home buyers. They want to own their own home.
I was surprised that 50% of the buyers reported finding the right home was the most difficult step. That hasn't been our case. We bought and sold homes.
Okay, so you probably had a better idea of exactly what you were looking for. Some people know they want something nice, or they want something new, or they want something better than what they have, but they don't really know exactly what. I can tell you any day of the week where I don't want to go to dinner, but where I do want to go to dinner is a little harder. Same thing with house buying. You know, I know what I don't want in a house, but finding the one that's perfect, and there's always that, oh, what if there's one just better than this? So it's kind of hard to, pull the trigger and make that decision. So I think that's where some people fall into. Was there anything else in here that, yes?
I like the 50% of buyers use a mobile website or application in their home search. That just screams out for the need for us to actually use our mobile app.
Yeah, download your app, know how to use it, and send it to people. I have clients that I realized I never even sent it to. I don't know if it was new when I was just starting or if they, you know, if it came in later, but I have a lot of clients that I had never even sent it to that I still should send it to. And that way they'll have it when they're looking. Because you know what's funny? There are some people who are always looking at homes. Always. If they think their property has gone up in value, they'll move again, or they'll at least consider it. So they're always looking at homes. It becomes almost like a hobby with some of your buyers, depending on who they are. So definitely download your app and use your app, because then they're coming back to you every time instead of looking at someone else's information. Some really great buyers on this are the ones that are a job change. I had someone coming into town. They were taking a job at one of the hospitals and, you know, bought like a $600,000 home. That was a fun one to have instead of the $82,000 home that I sold right before that. No less value to what I was doing. My friends will tell you, my coworkers will tell you that I'll give the same quality to either one of them. But the check is always more fun to get when it's bigger. It's just one of those things. Okay, so let's move on from the stats to finding homes. And 92% of buyers do use the internet. If you don't give them your app or your website, they will use Zillow. Zillow is full of bad information. One thing that people here don't understand is that they always say, well, my house says it's worth this much on Zillow. Well, we're a non-disclosure state. We don't disclose what we sold houses for or what we purchased houses for, so Zillow has no idea. And so I always just tell them, just, you know what, hey, if you want to look at Zillow just to see what's out there, great, but don't put any stock into any of the numbers on Zillow. And then also you'll get on Zillow and they will, they'll look and they'll say, oh, I want this one. It's a pre-foreclosure, because everybody knows if the word foreclosure's in it, you're going to get a good deal. All pre-foreclosure means is that maybe they didn't make one payment. Maybe they fell behind on a payment. That thing's not going to be available or on the market for months to years. And they could just make up those payments and it will not. So I just don't look at pre-foreclosures. It's not worth your time. We have to wait till that gets all the way through the bank process and then from there to an agent before it can even be sold. So, so just try to educate them and say, oh, Zillow's, you know, just don't use Zillow. Here, use my app. Everything's on the market is on my app. Everything that's on the MLS, I should say. No for sale by owners, but everything that's there is on my app. So, okay. So when you're working with buyers, your job, what you're going to want to do is there's 3 things, and we're on page 13. I may be ahead on this. So the 3 things that you're going to want to do. You want to find the right homes to show. You want to show qualified buyers. And you want to bring your buyers to a decision. So it's find, show, and decide. Those are the steps. That's what we need to do. Help them find homes, show homes, but you want to show to qualified buyers. Why? Why waste your time? And there are some people who say, oh, you know, I talked to a lender, but they didn't quite do the whole process. And then you find out they really don't qualify. The lender didn't pull their credit. And I always tell my buyers, you know, talk to a couple lenders, shop around, and ask them not to pull your credit, because if all 3 of them pull it, you know, they're messing with their credit score too. So, and then if they go to another lender, so, you know, so sometimes they think they're pre-qualified and they're not, but that's okay. And sometimes you'll get the feeling it's all right. I'm just going to go show them one home, and then I'll tell, you know, and then I'll make sure that they're pre-qualified. Sometimes I'll do that. I remember the very first time we looked for a home, the first thing the real estate agent, who was someone that we knew, said to my husband was, well, I'm not showing you anything unless you're pre-qualified. And you know what that sounds like? Show me the money before I'll do anything for you.
Yeah, you have to prove you're good enough.
Yeah.
Before I help you.
And it almost sounded greedy. And it almost, I mean, it totally, he put on the brakes and he just thought, okay, I don't think I want to work with this person. I'm not liking the vibe. And so that's one thing I've just kept in my mind. So there are some times where I just feel like, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to show these people one home. I'm more than happy to show you this one. And then when I'm there with them, I'll say, okay, so have you talked to, if I get them on the phone, usually I'll ask them then, do you have lenders that you want to use? And if they say no, oh, I've got several great ones here in town that would be more than happy to help you. Would you like me to send those over to you? Or just say, I'll send them over to you, and just have an email ready to go that has a couple of different lenders in it. If you haven't worked with lenders, there are lots of good lenders in the area. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if I can say this, Jessica, but I'm going to say it anyways. Sometimes your bigger banks are great for banking and not so great for lending money for mortgages. They will put you behind so far that you're 2 weeks out from your closing date and everybody in the transaction is sweating. So, I mean, not sweating, but I mean, like they're between apartments, they've moved twice, they're living at their parents' house with their 5 kids in the basement. And so sometimes it's better to find yourself a local credit union or local lender that you've heard good things about. For me, biggest thing is close them on time. Their life hinges on this. And it's a domino effect. So make sure you find someone to close on time. Okay, so very few people ever find homes any other way than the internet. Occasionally they'll do a drive-by and find one, but the internet is the biggest thing. So when someone calls you and says, I want to find a home, I'm looking for a home, and you've got that call, what's your next step? What do you do? Okay, ask questions. What questions do you ask?
What are you looking for? What's your budget? I do ask, are you qualified?
Which is great.
Get information.
And I try to keep the pre-qualified instead of, like he said, I'm not going to show you any homes unless you're pre-qualified. Because then you sound rigid and cold and about the money. But usually I'll just say, oh, super, have you talked to a lender? And with the way the market's been lately, one of the most important things you can do is get pre-qualified because homes in your price range are selling extremely quickly. And if we go out and we make an offer and we're not pre-qualified and they are, we will lose.
I will go to them.
Absolutely. And so I use that to make it sound like I want you pre-qualified for your purposes, not necessarily mine. It doesn't come off as greedy. And so that's usually how I try to frame it. It's about them, which is really true in the end.
If they're pre-qualified, can that lock in their interest rate as well?
It can lock in their interest rate. So if they're ready to buy right away, that's great. Sometimes they won't lock in the rate because if they look too long, then they have to relock it and that costs them money. So it just depends. So one thing you do is you ask them the questions. I have this little sheet that I made up. You can get all kinds of sheets on Keller Williams sites. Anybody that you work with will probably have one. And all it is, I put their name, their date. Was it a referral? This is huge. If it came up from a referral from another agent, I put it there so I know who that other agent is. It's not fancy, but it has the things that I need to know, keeping their information in front of me. What's the best way to contact them? Are they pre-approved? If they say, oh yeah, I'm pre-approved with Westmark, I write it right in there so that I remember. And sometimes they'll even know who it is. And sometimes they'll send right over the pre-approval letter. It's like, these are great clients. Do you need to sell before you buy? That might be a twofer. So keep that in mind. And even though I am not a selling agent, a listing agent, I work on a team. Jim Windmiller, this is what I tell everybody. If you decide to work on a team, Jim Windmiller is my partner. He has lots of other partners, but Jim Windmiller is my partner, and we list all the homes through him. And so I go out on the initial appointment, help him secure the client because they came to me. They're my friends. They know me. And so I go out on the initial appointment, and then our staff and Jim take care of the listing side, and I get a referral fee for that. It's beautiful. So I just fill this out. What price? What bedrooms? Bathrooms? Garage? Square feet? What else do you want? Do you want a new home? Do you want an old home? The last thing you want to do is search a bunch of old homes or search their square footage and their bedrooms and then find out they want something that's new. Or they only will look at something with a gas furnace. They hate cadet heating and things like that. So you want to find those things out. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels. And so then you set them up on the bin. So you go into Navica, or Jess showed me that you can go into eEdge, and in your contacts, you can also set them up to receive alerts that way. Typically, one of the easy ways to do it is go into Navica and you do a search. You enter them as a contact and do a search under them and put in the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the acreage that they want. Some people will tell me, I don't want to live on the west side, or I don't want to live in Ammon. Okay, great. I'll take that map feature, eliminate Ammon, and get the list of homes that we want. Obviously, this isn't during the phone call. One of the best things you can do if they call on a property is when they say, I want to see a property on Main Street. It's it's your listing. It's Keller Williams. That's what they always say. It might be Mike Hicks. It might be someone else's, but it's your listing. It's Keller Williams. Oh, super. And so as I'm looking that up, I use that as a time. So great. Are you guys just moving here, or do you live locally? Oh no, we live here. Super. What's prompting your move? And so you just kind of kill time they think, and you tell them, I'm looking this up on my computer, I'm getting this information for you. And you might have it sitting right there, but you're still pretending like you're pulling it up and getting some of this information for them. So it's a great time to get that. So you'll go into the bin. After you hang up with them, you'll put in all that information. You'll create a search in their name, and boom, they'll all come up. From there, I will usually send them everything that I found that is appropriate for them, unless I know that they don't want to live on 17th Street because 17th Street is too busy and they have small children. I'll just pull that one out because I wouldn't want my grandchildren living on 17th Street. So you know them, and if you know that they want something that has a bathtub and you happen to look through the pictures, they want a bathtub in the master bath and there was no bathtub in there and you could tell really easily there wasn't, I won't send them that one. But I don't spend a lot of time on it. I send everything over and it will come to them every day. Or if you are in certain price ranges, you want to click the button that says hourly. This will not send them an hourly email. This will search the MLS hourly, and if something new came on in their price range that meets their criteria, it will email it to them. So they may get 1 or 2 a day, but they will not get an hourly email unless, man, the market's jumping and things are coming on. You know what? That's funny. I don't know. I mean, hourly seems like hourly, and it's automated, so it's.
There aren't going to be a lot of people entering stuff in a new listing at 2 a.m. I don't think.
You'd be surprised, but but it could happen. If not, it'll start searching again first thing in the morning. So if something in your price range came up, it'll go out to them first thing in the morning. But if you are in certain price ranges, you want that one because you're going to be competing. This summer was nuts in that, like, oh gosh, the $100,000 price range, 20,000 over and under, man, you were fighting. You know, there are 6 and 7 offers on a place. They have to be pre-qualified. They have to over offer, and don't ask for closing costs kind of thing is what we about ended up in. And so, so you want them to know those immediately. It might even be good to talk to other agents. Do you have anything coming up in this? Devery and I, every day. Lisa, do you know of anything that's 100,000 or 98,000? This is as high as they can go. Every day we talk to each other. So sometimes that's helpful. But you set them up on the bin. They get your emails every day without you doing anything else. So that's perfect. When you do see a property pop up, especially in the beginning when you don't have a lot of clients you're working with, call them. If I would hear of something or see something, I'd call them, hey, did you see this one? And they'd say, oh yeah, we'd really like to go see it. Or they'd say, yeah, it's not really our taste, or it's not a neighborhood we like. Great, hang up the phone. I mean, you've taken, just a few minutes, no big deal. And then check periodically to see what your buyers thinks of the homes in their search. So if they've got things coming up, and it's a great way to just keep in contact with them so they don't end up talking to another agent. It happens all the time. They'll drive by, see someone sign, even though they're working with you, hey, Mike Hicks, I noticed you have this property available, and can I see it? Next thing you know, you're like, what was that? It happens all the time. So keep in front of them, let them know that you're working for them, and they'll want to stay with you. So check periodically and then call them. And sometimes you're gonna have to realign their expectations. Some things that are frustrating that you can't search for are fences. People want, if it's really important for them to have a fence, I always tell them, I'm going to send you everything that I have. I can't search by fence. Some properties will say fenced, but they're not fully fenced. So you don't really know. And so I always tell them, you double check and make sure it's fully fenced, because I can't really search. It's not a criteria that comes up for us to easily search. So so you just double check. No master bathtub, that's not a criteria I can easily search. So I'm going to send you everything, and then you look through them, okay? So let's see. And it's nice to know your homes. So that's why one of the reasons it's great to do previews. If you go through homes, I've had people call me before and say, hey, I really want to see this house. It's in my price range. And if I've been through it because I went on tour, or I just happened to see that it was vacant and it was in their price range and I was driving by, then I could tell them, you know what? The pictures look way better than the house. I'm happy to show it to you, and I'll take you over as soon as you want to go. But I just want to let you know that it's really banged up. And then sometimes they're like, oh, never mind. Or, it backs up to a grocery store, and so there's a dumpster right at the back fence, and a lot of traffic noise or something like that. I try not to discourage them, but I try to be real and say, this is what I found when I was at the house. And sometimes they're like, forget it, don't want to see it. You've saved yourself some time and them some trouble, because sometimes they get it in their head, this is going to be fantastic, and the pictures are way better than the house. So
Sometimes it's just the opposite of that too.
absolutely. Absolutely. So if I've previewed it and I've seen it, I'll tell them I've taken like 5 people to see this, because everybody wants this house, but there's a reason it's been on the market 48 days and it's under 100,000. So
I found that too. If it's that price and it's been on the market for that long, something's wrong with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So it happens a lot. Okay. So one of the big things you want to do is keep the focus on the best homes. Some people want to look at everything. They want to see everything that's out there, even pushing their price range in order to know that they're getting the best deal and the best house. How do I know if I'm getting the best house unless I see all the houses? Well, how do you know you're getting the best spouse unless you date all the spouses? You can't. You just can't do that in life. And so it's good to help them remember. And there's a script on page, what page are we on? 14. Yeah. When we do find the right home, we'll need to act quickly. We're going to get the feeling of maybe there's something better out there. But I have to tell you, the best homes go really fast. And so if it's one that you want, then we need to act immediately, is basically what the script says. Learn that. It's been something that's been really easy to say this past year because it's been 100% truth. So keep that script in mind there. Okay, so you find homes online and they say, these are the homes that we want to see. So what do? Does anybody know? It tells us on page 14, but what would you normally do? And I know most of you are fairly new, but what would you think the next step would be? No worries, I'll tell you. The first thing I would do is check and make sure it's available. And one thing that's frustrating is that I have found some agents are not quick about updating the availability status. I showed a home one time, it was vacant, so we didn't have to make an appointment. And when we went downstairs, there was an inspector and a buyer in the basement. I'm like, hello? It had to have been at least 1 or 2 days. I mean, an inspector usually takes a little time to get there. So I called the agent and I just said, hey, I'm showing your vacant house on such and such a street, and there's an inspector in the basement. Is this a done deal? And he said, oh yeah, I forgot to change it. Well, that would have been good to know. All right, thanks.
Yeah, and I had been in a similar situation where I was talking with a friend and they said, well, what about this house? And I did my research and they wanted to see it and was in the middle of making arrangements, talking with the seller and said, oh, yeah, it sold last week.
Yeah.
Sold last week.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
So, yeah, as an agent, update your information. If you have an assistant, make sure that they update this, put it pending as soon as possible, just to save everybody else grief. But you want them to do the same for you when they're pending their properties. So you're going to check the MLS, make sure it's available, and that's not a guarantee. And then you want to glance at them. Now, it says here to make a wish list, like their 5 top things. And oftentimes those top things will come in: price, bedrooms, bathrooms. They want to shop, they want a 3-car garage. Sometimes that'll be their wish list. Occasionally, it'll be things like, I want a big walk-in master shower. Don't care if there's a tub in there. I want that. So do your best to find those things. But if you have a lot of buyers at the time and you have a lot of people to show, sometimes it's hard to spend a lot of time previewing all the houses. When you don't, in the beginning, oh, well, gosh, I read everything. I looked at everything and it took up so much of my time. We actually allow our work to fill up whatever time we have available. And so, glance through it. If it's a split entry and they don't want a split entry or split level, get it off the list. Don't show it to them, because when you pull up after you made an appointment, they're going to say, I don't want to see it. What do you do when you pull up in front of a house and a client says, I don't want to see it?
Move to the next one, but you don't have to like it.
Okay.
I would call that and let them know that you're not. I just run in and drop my card off and run back out.
There's several things you can do. It is very
I know we're there.
extremely frustrating to sellers to make sure their house is clean, their pets are stowed, their kids are out of the house, they moved their dinner time. They did all these things so that you could show that house, and then we don't stop by. We don't click the box. We don't leave any feedback. I mean, it would be better feedback for us to run up, and I've done this before, run up to the door, click the box, shove it right back up in. And then when they send me the feedback, I just say, based on the exterior, my clients, didn't even want to see it.
Gotcha. That gives them the opportunity to do their auto feedback thing and for you to provide that feedback.
Absolutely. And it's frustrating to sellers and to selling agents because your peers are not following through. They're taking up the seller's time, but they're not providing any, So I would suggest either running in yourself, and I tell them, you know what? They took the time to make the appointment for us. I'm just going to run in. If you don't want to see it, that's fine. I just have to run in and I'll be right back out. And that's all I do. So keep that in mind. That's a courtesy, and you'll appreciate it on the other end when someone does it for you. Make sure you have a good list of what they're looking for in a home so that you aren't spinning your wheels, taking them to things that they would never have wanted in the first place. Okay. Let's see. Oh, then the next thing is making the showing appointment. On your MLS sheets, typically what you'll find down towards the bottom, and I'm sure all of you have seen this, but it'll tell you how to show it. Private information, vacant, show anytime. It'll tell you how to show it. Do what it says. If it says call the sellers, call them and make the appointment, but don't ask them any questions about the house. That's a no-no. Ask that of the selling agent. That is their client, okay? So call the agent. If it says call the agent, call the seller. If it says call the seller, if it's vacant, show up and show it. But follow those instructions. Those are important. And usually what I do on my little sheet here, these to me, I love having these. What I'll do is I'll take it, and if I know it's a vacant property, I can see that right on the bottom. I'll either highlight it or circle it here, and then I also will just put a giant V right there. That one's vacant, so I don't get in a panic when I'm showing houses and I realize, I didn't make an appointment for the next house. Oh, it's vacant, we're good. And also, if you get tight on time, take that vacant out of the rotation, stick it in the back, and go see it later, even though it's on a different side of town. Stay on schedule. Do everything you can to stay on schedule. It's better for you and it's better for them. If you let them lollygag through the house, they will do it. So take the time, circle what it says, lockbox vacant on this one. Circle what it says, let yourself know it's vacant. And then usually if I have to call and make an appointment, what I'll do is I will just look at it real quick, highlight the who I call and the phone number so it's really easy to find. And if I'm going to show 8 houses, I'll print everything, lay it on my desk, vacant, this one, I'm going to call this person, I'm going to call this person, this one's vacant, write that down, and I go through the whole thing, and then I put them in order geographically. It will tell you in your stuff, show the best house first. Well, if the best house is in Swan Valley, I may show these in order through town on my way out to Swan Valley. I'm not going to head to Swan Valley and then come back to, the west side and then head over to the east side. I'm not going to do it. So my feeling is they're going to know the best house when they see the best house. And so if we're seeing 5, to me, it doesn't matter what we do it in, what order. I'm going to do it geographically. It just makes more sense in my head. I don't know.
And one thing on MapQuest, they have a convenient tool where you can add destinations and then sort for most convenient route.
Absolutely. And new Navica actually has a little car icon. You can click on that car icon now. They just did it. And it will show you all the homes in the order of however you pull them up. But then all you do is click and drag. Click and drag. Oh, great. I'm going to show this one in Idaho Falls, this one in Yukon. Then I'm going to show these 2 in Rigby. And then I'm going to show this one in Rexburg. It makes such a great difference. So try that on Navica, the little car icon. Yes.
Make sure you look at the addresses too, because Lockville, Badger Creek is also somewhere else.
Yeah, so we did this yesterday just to see how it worked in our team meeting, and it was great, except Rockwell builds a lot of homes in brand new neighborhoods that mapping doesn't even know the street exists. So what they did was the home on Badger Creek that is right here in, on the north end of town near Iona, well, there's Badger Creek in Swan Valley. And so it had, the way it had it was, and then back over here. And so I knew I wasn't looking for a house in Swan Valley. So when I saw it, I was like, there's something wrong with this. And that's when you go to the little list right here that says how to get there. Turn left on 17th Street, turn right here, and then you realize, oh, it's in Red Rock. Oh, it's in Green Valley, wherever it is. So you just have to be kind of savvy. Something you don't know about me, I moved here 4 years ago. I moved here from an entirely different area. And so I knew no one except for Jim and Tori, and one other family here in Idaho Falls. And I didn't know a lot about streets and cities and directions and subdivisions and things like that. So you can do it. I just figured it out. And over time I realized, oh, this is here. Now I can just pull them out and just look at them and just shuffle them. Okay, this goes first, this goes second, this goes third, because I know I can even look at where the schools are now and, kind of tell where they go. So keep that in mind. You can work this business even not knowing anybody, because I knew no one except realtors. How lame is that? So
I'm sure they didn't mind you asking them for referrals.
yeah, I wasn't on a team. I was on my own, so I didn't get any referrals. So it was just people I ran into.
So quick question.
Yeah.
So where you're a buyer's agent, how much of your time do you time block to do lead gen?
You know what? Same as you. I should do lead gen just the same as anybody else, because if I find someone who's selling a house, chances are they're going to buy a new one. So if they're selling a house, oh, fantastic. You know what? Let me get you to my partner, Jim. We're going to set up an appointment for that. And what neighborhood are you looking in? Are you trying to move up? Oh, you want to move to Stonebrook? That'll be great. Super. Well, what are you looking for? Let me help you with that. So I've just gotten, if it goes through, a seller referral check. And all I have to do is set it up on Jim's calendar and they work the rest. And then I have a buyer as well. So lead gen just the same. So, and you can even call some of the sellers that, maybe you're with Michelle, right? So maybe Michelle has, some people. So call some of them. Doesn't matter that you're a buyer's agent. Typically anybody who buys or sells is going to buy. And if they're not going to buy here, I had a client who bought here and then he got a job transfer and he said, I'm moving to Austin. And I said, oh, I know realtors in Austin. Do you have someone you're going to use? No, we don't know anybody there. Super. Jess, who do we know in Austin? How are we going to do this? And so she's like, here, call the team leader in Austin. So I got on the phone, called them, and they're like, oh, you know what? What's their family like? Oh, they have young kids. They're kind of looking in this general area. I've got the perfect couple for them, and I'm going to send you their information. I gave it to them. They ended up using them, and I got a $25 referral fee. Just make it work. I mean, it's, I should probably tell you this. I am not about the money. I love having money. I have more. I came from Southern California, and you think, oh, they're rich. No, we lived paycheck to paycheck so that we could just pay our stinking bills, because we were raising a family and we were living on one income in a 2-income area. It was insane. And so I love having enough money that I can take family pictures, that I can take my family on vacation, that I can, my big why is on my necklace. It says mom. And now I have 5 grandchildren. My whole thing, it's not about buying them stuff, but it's having experiences with them so that we can grow closer together as a family. That's huge to me. That's my big why. My kids laugh at me because they say, Mom, you could never make it on, oh gosh, what's that show where they, The Amazing Race. You could never make it. You'd be the lady that would be like, oh, you should share our taxi with us. Come on, you could go with us. She's like, Mom, no, you have to be cutthroat. They can't share your taxi. You take your own taxi. And then you'd be the one that'd be like, oh, you ran out of money? Here, let me give you a little money. That's more my personality. I thought maybe real estate would be hard for me because it's sales. It's called a sales job. Real estate is not sales. It is service. 100% service. I am not about selling them a house. I'm about serving them and helping them find what suits their needs. And I'll walk away from a deal with them if it's not right. And I'll tell them flat out, if this is not right for you and your family, let's move on. And, I've had some where we were really close. We actually had written a contract and we were able to pull out because over the night they decided, this isn't right. It's all right. And at the end of the day, it is not about the commission check. But I will tell you, I love getting the commission checks. This is about finding the right house for that buyer. And in the end, the commission check is just a wonderful bonus that comes. If we do anything other than make our house payment, most of my husband's check now that he's retired goes to insurance. Almost half of it goes to our health insurance. So anything above that comes from what I do. So I don't do this just for fun. I didn't just get this job because I thought, it'd be so fun to go look at houses. I needed to help the family income. And only tell you that because some people will look at others and there will be this instant judgment. Oh, well, she doesn't really even have to work. So, it's easier for her. Or, it just comes easy to him. It's not true. We all have to work, but everybody's different and everybody does it different. And so I just look, oh, look what they're doing. Look what he's doing. That would work for me. And that's why when I found Jim, his mannerisms and his way of doing business matched mine perfectly. And we make a great team along with the rest of our team simply because we have the same goals. So keep that in mind while you're looking. So sorry. So you're going to make your appointments on your sheets. There they are. You're going to make your appointments and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you'll have buyers that look at everything, the pictures on the walls. I have to remind them, just keep in mind, we're not buying any of the furnishings. We're not buying the pictures. We just want to check and make sure that the bedrooms and bathrooms are right, So sometimes you have to keep it moving. If you show people more than, I would say, 8 houses, even if you move quick, they won't remember anything. Okay, so just keep that in mind. 8's even a lot. But if you've got someone coming into town for the weekend and you've got to show them stuff and they've got to buy that weekend, you do what you need to do. So, but just know, after a while, they're going to be like, I don't even remember what the first house looked like. And that's where these sheets come in. Oftentimes, I will print myself the one that has all the information at the bottom, the MLS sheet for agents, and then I will print them the one that doesn't have that information, the public one. And I will hand them the stack in order, and I'll have the stack. They can make notes that they want. And what it says to do here when you're looking at homes, so you're qualifying properties. So we're going to turn to page 15. And I'm sorry, I jump around. Sorry, Jess, I jump around. But so what you're going to do, you've got these all in order. You know what you're going to do. You call and you make the appointments. And I try to give myself a little leeway. So let's say we're meeting at 11. So the first one, if we're meeting here at 11 and my first appointment's at 11 and it's in Ammon, I'm not going to get there on time. But that's okay. That's how I do it. Okay, first appointment's at 11. Our next appointment then, because I know I'm not going to get there right at 11, it'll be 11:10. I'll set the next appointment for 11:30. And I always tell them, we'll be there between 11:30 and 12. Or we'll arrive between 11:30 and 12. And the reason I tell them that is it gives us a little gap. Some people really want to know exactly where you're going to show up. And that's why I tell them, I have several properties right in a row. I will do my best to be there right when I say I'll be there. But we may need, it may take us a little time. So I try to leave myself a little gap. And then again, those vacants, man, pull those out and move them somewhere else if you need to stay on track. Always, if I have talked to a homeowner and I've set up the appointment, or let's say they don't answer their phone, so I've texted them and I've called them, I'm just going to put a little note here, text. That means that I've tried them and I need to get back to them. I want to know what I did, because every now and again you'll lose your mind because you have so many papers and everything starts to look the same. And so I'll leave a little note there. But as soon as I know that we're good, I'm going to put a check mark right here. And that means that we're good to go. I've scheduled it. We're good to go. Sometimes I'll put email. Sometimes I'll put phone call, left message, whatever. And then I also, once I put them in order, so this is number 1, this is number 2, I number them, because that way if I ever drop my papers, I know where I'm going and I don't have to think really hard about it. And when you have 8 properties, it's a lot. And when you start looking back through them later, you can't remember which one you saw first and which one you saw second. So that's usually what I'll do. So if I know if it has the check mark there, it's taken care of and I don't have to think about it again. So when I go back through, I'll look, oh yeah, I sent this one a text and they didn't respond. I'll call them again. I'll get a hold of them again. So that's just some little gimmick that I do for me, because nothing makes me more sick to my stomach than pulling up in front of a house and thinking, I don't think I made an appointment for this house.
You see it coming across back and forth in the house.
Yeah, like I don't recall calling them. I don't recall seeing this house. I don't remember anything about it. And if I've got those notes, I can look down. Well, that's right, I did. I text them, or I can see it in my, I'll see it in my phone and go back and look. So it just saves me a lot of grief in the long run. So let's see, on page 15, let's not go there yet. First, let me show you something. So as a buyer's agent, one of the first problems I had was paperwork. Holy cow. Keeping clients separate with the houses they want to see. I've got piles going everywhere. It freaked me out. How do I know what day they want to go? How do I stay organized? So this is what I did. Actually, my friend used one of these and put the folders in here, and you can see most of them right at a glance. So this works too. I like to hang this on the wall near my desk. So if I know that I'm showing somebody on Thursday and it's Monday, let's say, I don't want to make the appointments on Monday for Thursday because, especially this past summer, those houses could be gone. So what I would do is, I know that there are some houses you have to make a 24-hour in advance appointment for, but I'm showing them on Thursday. So what I would do is I'd go through, get all my papers together. I've got them all numbered. I've got, I'm ready to go. I know what order I'm going in, and I would just stick them in my Thursday folder, which is going to be hard for me. So I'm gonna stick it behind it. Okay, they're in my Thursday folder. Well, what I'm going to do is first thing Wednesday morning or even Tuesday before I leave, I'm going to pull out the showings that I have for Thursday, and I'm going to call and set those appointments. Okay. Sometimes this summer homes did sell before that. There was nothing you could do, or they sold in between the two appointments. So there was just nothing you could do about it. But so I'm going to make those appointments probably Wednesday morning or Thursday afternoon. So I just hang this on the wall. When I come in on Thursday morning, then I will pull out this folder, look through it, and see. And I've got them together in a paper clip. These I have starting at 9 a.m. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to go show the Eddie's homes. And then at noon, I've got another set, and those are right in there. And so they're all stacked in there, so I know exactly what I'm doing and exactly when I'm doing it. And it saved me so much grief to have this hanging there. So that all I had to do is grab the folder and glance at it for a second, but I knew where all my paperwork was, and I was ready to go. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but it sure worked for me. Especially when you get busy and you've got multiple things, multiple showings, multiple people. It can be crazy. Okay, page 15. So what we're going to do is we're going to qualify properties. And each of you work with either one partner or two, depending on how many of us are in here. So you'll be in groups of 2 or 3. And what I want you to do is someone will be the buyer, and they will determine the type of home. You can use your own house in this or your dream house, either one, just to make it easy. What type of home you'd like to buy, and come up with criteria: price range, neighborhood, area, number of bedrooms and bathrooms, or any other special features. And then the other person will be the agent, and you'll log into your MLS and enter their criteria. Have you guys all done this before?
Well, not in the practice session.
But you've done it you've done this.
We've all done that.
Perfect. Has everybody out there worked on that? Because it's going to be hard to show anyway. So, okay, show homes, home preparing. Here, we're going to go to the etiquette. This is what we're going to do. So one of the etiquette things was, don't just drive past a home. That was my first instinct. Well, we just won't go in. And then after talking to other agents, like, oh, okay, I get it. I'll make sure that if we've made an appointment, we'll let them know that we came. So on page 16, showing homes. Okay, we already talked about it. Find the MLS, schedule the show times. It says to always call the listing agent if it's available. If you have time, you may want to do it. If you are a listing agent or you work with a listing agent, they might find that annoying. But if you're worried if that home's available or not, then you can call and check or send them a text. Text is so much better. It's fast. Text. Set the home tour date. Try to give 24 hours of notice if possible. Sometimes that's just impossible. People will call you at 9 o'clock in the morning and say, I want to see this house at 11. Well, you know what? I just tell them, you know what? It's kind of short notice for them. I'm more than happy to do it for you if I'm available. But it's kind of short notice. Let me see if we can get in. And sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I'm at work and my house is ready. Just come on in. So never put your thoughts onto a seller or a buyer. Just let them tell you no. Oh, I need 24 hours notice, or they can't do it till after such and such a time because my dogs are in. Try to give them notice, but if you can't, just ask them. And the worst they can do is tell you no. Let's see. This one says to check with your buyer, make sure they have earnest money ready if necessary. I usually do this about the same time I write the offer with them, and I always let them know. because I'll say, okay, earnest money, typically would be $1,000 if you're looking at a house over, a certain price range. Sometimes you can get away with 500. That's fine. If you're in a multiple offer situation, I would go higher, just because it makes you look better. But I always make sure I tell them. They're like, oh yeah, we have it. I said, okay, make sure you write the check out of that account, because it is going to be withdrawn by the title company. I've had people write checks out of one account and not transfer the money. They have it, but it's in savings and they wrote it out of their checking account and they forgot. So I always tell them, great, I'm glad you have the money. Make sure it's in the account that you just wrote the check from, because they will be depositing it. Some of them think they're just going to hold this paper check until the end. So I just make sure that they know that they should have that money should be liquid and accessible. If you have time, you can preview homes. But again, you'd be better served spending your time finding more clients than spending all your time on one client, spending all day trying to find the perfect homes, because chances are they'll poo-poo the ones you think are perfect. It just is kind of funny that way. Educate yourself about homes, demographics, be a source of information, but never discuss demographics with them. You do not ever want to be found to be steering someone to a certain home, away from a certain home. So, but they may want to know, are there a lot of kids in this neighborhood? How are the schools? And if you don't know, tell them, I don't know, but I'll bet if you were to call that school, they could give you information, or call the school board. Divert back to someone who is an expert in that area.
One thing that I had heard would be to maybe give them the MLS information, the addresses in advance, and say, you know what, you can go ahead and drive to the neighborhood, and if you feel comfortable with the neighborhood, then let me know. Or if you don't feel comfortable with the neighborhood for any reason, any neighborhood,
right,
you let me know.
And which is,
it's all on them.
Yep, and it's brilliant, and it's actually in here a little later. But that is something that's really great to do. I had a couple that was about my age. Their kids are moving on. They don't really have anybody left at home, but they have grandkids. And they said, I want to see this home and this one. Well, we looked at the one because we met that night. It was available and it was kind of spur of the moment. But the other two, when I was with them, I said, so tell me what you're looking for in a neighborhood, or what neighborhoods you like. And they said, they told me, and I said, see these two right here? These are in young family neighborhoods. Is that fine for you? And they're like, you know what? We want to drive by those first. They didn't want to see either of them. They felt like, you know what? We did that. We had that part of our life where we lived in the young family neighborhood with a bunch of kids around. Not that they were anti-kids, but the neighborhood just didn't have the feel that they wanted. And so we didn't take the time to go see those later. And so it was just kind of a matter of finding out what they were looking for. And so it made a big difference. So he went and drove by those, and it really didn't waste or take any of my time for him to do that. And he was like, nah, you're right. Don't want to see either of those. Arrange to meet your buyer at the first home or at the office. Some agents love to have buyers in their cars so they can talk to them, and it is a great thing. I do like to do that when I can. You get to know a lot about the person, and you can discuss the homes as you drive. But sometimes they have lots of kids, car seats, that are a problem to change, or they just feel weird getting into someone else's car. That's fine. It's their call. And then we just caravan. Be a good leader. Watch for them in your rearview mirror. Don't ditch them at lights. You all know that, but some people are not good leaders. My husband's a terrible leader. I'm like, are you trying to lose our family? Pay attention. They're back there. I don't understand. If you're leading someone, be leadable. Be there. Okay. Arrange to meet them. Print out the 2 MLS sheets, one for you with all the information, one for them without all the information. And you can hand them to them. And then make a copy of their sheet that has the 5 must-haves. If you want to do that, you can. Otherwise, I just carry this with me in the folder that has their information on it. So as they say new things, oh, but I really like this, or I really want this. You're like, oh, they didn't tell me that. You write it down. Oh, they wanted a third of an acre. I didn't even know that. Here I am showing them 0.21 acres and they want a third of an acre. So it helps you to create new criteria lists in your head. Let's see. So on page 17, help buyers view homes. One of the most important parts of preparing your buyer to evaluate homes is to help them understand the things that they should look past. Some people will walk into a house, and I'll see it's typically the wife. They'll walk in and they'll be like, this is filthy. I don't even want to look at it. It's like, okay, just remember, you're not buying their filth. You're not buying their furniture. We can put in the contract that they have it cleaned by a professional cleaning company before closing, after they've moved out and before closing. So look past that. That's not what you're buying. Do you like the layout? Do you like the square footage? Do you like the location? So help them with things like that that are hard for them to see. And is this a deal breaker? Obviously, someone can come in and clean it. That's easy. So is that a deal breaker? When it comes to things like wall color, some people will walk in and they'll be like, oh, every room is painted a different color. No, this is too much for me. Okay, we can change paint. Paint's easy. We can ask them to do it. We can ask for a credit on the inspection to get us the money to do it later if we want to. But we can have it all painted by a painter, and we can request that. So there's a lot of things that you have to help them get their mind around. Some people have no imagination or vision. It cracks me up sometimes. They're just like, can't do this. It's like almost everything but the structure of the home can be changed. And some people want to go bad enough, they want to sell bad enough, they're willing to do it. So just help them see it. Let's see, have your buyers use the home tour checklist, and you can have one of those, or this is what I do. Sorry, Jess, tell them what I do. Okay, so I've got these. We've been going through the houses. We've been going in order. I used to do this brilliant thing where I'm like, oh, they love that house. That's home number 1. Write it on the paper. Guess what? They see the second one. Oh, that's our new number 1. Cross that out. New number 1 over here. Oh, okay, this is number 2. Go to the next house. Oh, no, that's not. This is number 2 now. Okay, cross that out. Guess what I do now? So how does that house compare to the house that we just saw? Do you like this one better or the same? What are your thoughts? Oh, no, I love the house we just saw. It's my favorite. You know what it gets? And it's really silly. It gets a big heart. By the end of the day, I've got 2 papers with hearts on them, and all the rest that don't have hearts are the ones that they say absolutely not. No, we want nothing to do with this. It gets this. When I get back to the office, it's easy to know which ones they like and which ones they don't. Or when we're standing there at the last house and I say to them, okay, so these were your 2 favorites. They got hearts. What do you think? You know what? We like this one so much better than that one. We thought we liked it, but we hadn't seen the best one yet. So, no. So save yourself some trouble. No more number 1s, number 2s, if you want to use the system, which is, okay, between 1 and 7, eliminating 3 and 4, where does this house fall? For some people, that's really hard. And for me, well, I don't want to be too critical. I don't want to give anything a 1, so I'd probably give it a 2, or maybe I'd give it a 5 because I don't know if it's perfect because I haven't seen the other ones yet. So sometimes that doesn't work out quite as well because everybody just ends up picking 2 and 5, just on either side of the 3 and 4. So however it works for you, but I usually have them try to compare it to the ones that they have already seen. But again, hearts, and just cross out the ones they don't like, and they'll tell you, oh, I hate that one. Okay, great, let's just get rid of it. Let's see. There is a video, and I'm thinking, I don't know if it's the right time to show it, LaToya, but it seems like it should go right here. So page 21. Okay, we're going to go there next. So let's see if I'm smart enough to do this. Oh, look, I did it. Okay. Number 8. Okay, this is about creating buyer urgency. Wait, but stay here and help me share it. And okay, now put it where it goes. I'm smart enough, but I would take too long. Oh, okay, I wasn't smart enough. We haven't shared with them. She said,
hi, my name is Sean Healy, and today I'm going to teach you how to create buyer urgency through the showing process. And the first step is setting expectations. We tell buyers that it is a seller's market, and what that means is the best homes go fast. The next area that we set expectations in is multiple offers. We tell our buyers there's going to be a lot of other buyers out there, and you may find yourself in a competitive situation. The third area that we set expectations on is condition. Many of the homes that they're going into are going to be move-in ready, but they need a little bit of work. The next step in the process we call the funnel. And essentially, we're trying to take the entire MLS and funnel it down so that at the end of the day, there can be only one house that kicks out the bottom. What I'd like you to do tonight, pick out the best 10 or 15 homes, and then tomorrow drive by those homes and check them out. I want you to pick out the best 3 or 4, and we'll go out and take a look at those homes. Next part is the actual showing process. We show the first house. You'll ask the buyer on a scale of 1 to 7, leaving out the 4, 7 being perfect, and there is no perfect home, and 1 being unlivable, where would you rate this home? Inevitably, the buyer will answer it's a 5. And the reason they give you a 5 is because they don't have anything else to compare it to on the very first home that they've gone to see. Then what you want to do is try and reinforce what's making it a 5 for you. Then the next question you ask said, what are some of the things that you would do to move it more towards a 7 if you were to purchase it? You go on to the next house. Now you ask an alternative of choice question. Pretend you had to buy one of these 2 houses today. Which one would it be? The last one we saw or this one? They liked the first one better. Perfect. Go to the third house. The third house, you do the same thing. You say, all right, Gary, pretend there's only 2 homes on the market and you have to buy one today. Which one is it? The first one we saw or this one? And they say, this one. And you repeat that process over and over until you get to the last house. And at the end of the day, you say, well, it looks like 123 Main Street was your favorite house. So right there from the house, we call the listing agent, find out if the home is still available. Let's go back to the office and get this property written up before somebody else gets it. My biggest aha out of this came when I was out with one of my first-time buyer families, and we drove up to the first house, and my buyer said, I don't even want to go in that one. What he ended up telling me at the end of that trip was, Sean, what I want you to do is print me out a list of every home that matches my criteria. I'm going to drive by those homes, and I'll tell you which ones I want to see. Aha! Hey, thanks for watching KW Connect, and make it a great day.
Can we close that? Okay, any ahas from that? Anything new? Had we already discussed it all?
I think it's been covered overall.
Pretty
Yeah,
much,
I liked it.
pretty much. Yeah, he stole my material. Yes.
So why is everyone doing the rating system? I know, I understand the theory, but why 1 to 7 taking out 4?
Because everybody will pick the middle. Everybody will be like, it's a 4. They'll be non-committal. It's a 4. I don't want to offend the sellers. So that's why they do it. I don't use that at all. But you could totally use that because it's in the book. But I don't use that system. I just go with, do you like it? And I tend to be pretty low pressure. I don't want them to feel like, especially if it's someone here in town who probably wants to look a couple of times or see it, or there's a lot in their price range. I just say, I know you don't have to buy a home today, but out of the ones we've seen today, what are your favorites? And they'll tell you, okay, great, this one and this one, perfect. And then I keep those, and when we go out and look at other ones, I'll remember, oh, remember that house on Virginia? So does this compare to that one that you loved on Virginia? No, I still like Virginia better. Okay, great. Then get rid of that one. And so I do it just a little bit different because in my head, when someone asked me that question, when I was looking at houses, everything was, average. I never said, oh, that's a 10. And one of my buyers one time, I didn't know him real well, but they're like, oh, we love this house. Oh, we shouldn't have told you that. I'm like, no, I'm on your team. It wasn't like a used car salesman where, now I'm going to jack this up because I know they like it. I'm like, no, I'm on your team. I'm going to help you get this house. So you can tell me. One thing we talked about in team meeting that I'm going to remind you, or I'm going to tell you is there are a lot of cameras in a lot of houses. One time, my partner, Jim Windmiller, even though he's way bigger than me, I just call him my partner because it makes it so much easier for everybody else. And no one else outside knows that he's big and I'm little. They think we're partners. So he went to a house and they were in a hurry and there was a thing of blue footies by the door, but their shoes were clean and it wasn't snowing or anything. And so they ran in the house and they ran through the house. And the person said, should I put these on? Jim's like, no, we're in a hurry. You know, our shoes are clean. Let's just go through the house. He gets a nasty, nasty phone call from the agent because the person saw that they did not have booties on and was horrified that they would not wear booties in her house. So he's like, oh, I got caught. So if there are booties there, wear them. If it says take off your shoes, keep in mind realtors should probably wear good socks, especially in the winter. Keep in mind what your socks look like. I've had pink and gray striped socks on before with black pants or leggings or some other color they didn't go with without realizing it because they were in my boots. Next thing I know, I've got my funky socks on walking through the house, but it's okay. So wear good socks, no holes. But do whatever it says to do. Okay. Sometimes they'll say cat in the house, you know, make sure that you peek and try not to let the cat out and you shimmy around the door so you're not letting their pets out.
You don't want me to kick the cat then?
Don't kick the cat. Okay, funny cat story. Really fast. Justin, no kicking cats. That's rude. Cats everywhere. But funny story. So I'm going to show a house. It's listed by someone else. I call the seller and say, hey, can I show this house? And he said, yeah, we'll be out of town, but you can show it. Okay. So he knows what time I'm going to be there. My buyers weren't there yet, but I thought I'm going to go ahead and unlock the house and turn on the main lights for them. And so I get up to the front door and I noticed he has one of those doorbells that says like view or what is it? A camera hooked to his cell phone. I didn't think anything of it because he knows I'm coming. So then all of a sudden this little cat walks up and he's walking around my feet and he's just friendly. He's like climbing up my leg. I've never had a cat do that before, but he's like climbing up my leg. I'm like, ow. Okay, so I pick up the cat because I'm thinking, I got to keep this cat out of the house. He's obviously an outside cat. And so I pick up the cat and I'm holding him while I'm unlocking the door because I figure I could walk in and then throw him out and shut the door. So I pick up this cat and not only did he climb up my leg, but he turned and he's climbing up and he's like here in my face. And all of a sudden I hear this sound. Hey lady, are you trying to steal my cat? He's watching me on his cell phone because he can see me from his doorbell. I'm like, no, but I think we're hugging now. This is the friendliest cat I've ever held. I said I didn't want him to go in your house, so I was going to throw him out. He's like, that's what we have to do too. So I'm like, okay, I'll just throw him out when I get inside. But it was the funniest thing. Hey, lady, you trying to steal our cat? Oh, am I making out with your cat on the porch? Why is he on my face? So he was great. It was funny. It was almost like we knew each other. So he was great. So just keep in mind, they may even have stuff on the door, on the front door. They may have a camera there. So this is what you do. You go to the house. You're going to show a home. You've already made an appointment, but you're going to walk up and you're going to knock on the door. And then I push the button on the bottom of the key box. I start doing the key. And when I get the key out, because that takes a few seconds, minutes, depending on where you are, I get the key out and then I knock on the door again, unlock the door. And I don't usually do this if it's a vacant house, but sometimes it's worth doing. I'll open the door and say, hello, realtor. No sound. Okay, great. Go on in. I've done that before and found out that there was someone sleeping in the house that was supposed to be vacant. And we didn't find that out till we toured the whole downstairs, went upstairs, toured most of the upstairs, talking to each other just like this. And then we walk into a bedroom and I realized there's a sleeping bag and a pillow and a head. I'm like, ooh. Okay, let's go see the last room and then get the heck out of here. Well, he had come to town. It was his parents' house. He had come to town and decided that he would just stay there because it's vacant. So he spent the night there. So uncomfortable to walk in on sleeping people. Hard thing is you can walk in on someone showering simply because hopefully you'll hear it before you get there, but they won't hear the door if they're in the shower. So I haven't had that one happen, thank heavens, but some people have. So just, be cautious and be aware of your surroundings. I've even had young, not really young, but like a 12-year-old boy. I'm showing the house. The mom told me it was vacant. No one was going to be there. Go right ahead. Or not vacant, but no one was home. They were all camping. And the young son came home early from the scout thing. So we're showing the house and all of a sudden I hear this voice like behind me. I'm like, well, here's this kid. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I would have hollered out that I was here and I'm a realtor, but I didn't know you were here. Oh, no, it's okay. My mom told you. So you never know what's going to happen. And you just, you do with it whatever you can. I always let them know I'm a realtor. And alarms sometimes will go off. People will forget to tell you there's an alarm. They'll forget to tell you the alarm is set. They'll forget to unset it. And so you walk in the house. I never worry about that. Oftentimes I'll wear my badge. I always forget, but oftentimes I'll wear my badge, or you have a card on you. I just don't get too stressed over it. I usually try to call the agent, but you can't hardly hear because it's so stinking loud, and say, hey, the alarm's going off at the house, FYI. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll get them to turn it off. I just figure if the police show up, just tell them, I'm a realtor. I made an appointment to see this house. They forgot to turn off their alarm. So don't stress, but usually people will move really fast through those houses because that sound is so loud that they can't even think.
I used to be with the Murdoch and Manheim Realty Group,
Uh-huh.
and within about a stone throw of their place is a bank, an old
Yep.
bank on the corner of Holmes and First, I guess. And Chad, seeing the lockbox and curious, he went in there, and there was alarms and sirens and flashing lights, and he just was like, okay, this isn't good, because he knew it had been a bank, and he hung out there for 10 minutes just waiting, and then he went back to the office, and then like 5 minutes later, like 2 officers came and they shot in and doing their thing, and he wandered over and said, hey, I'm probably who you're looking for. I'm a realtor. I'm the Murdoch over here. And he went on to explain it, and apparently the officers thought it was kind of funny because they, according to their system, hadn't been made aware that it was a vacant bank.
Oh, so they thought it was a legit bank
On
robbery.
their map, it was
Break-in.
showing as an active financial institution bank, and they were expecting a robbery situation, which was hilarious after the fact.
Yeah, after the fact. I assume police officers should be pretty good about it if you can prove who you are and why you're there. So they should be good about it. So always announce yourself, make yourself known. You can write things on your own copy. Sometimes I will do that. Okay, I'm going to challenge all of you. Leave feedback. When someone sends you a feedback request, do it. Do it. If you list properties, do you want feedback on your properties? Well, then you sure as heck better give feedback on the properties that you view. It is so frustrating for a seller to not know anything and know that there have been people in the house. And then someone else has to sit on the phone and try to call you. Realtors are terrible about leaving feedback. Don't be those realtors. Leave feedback. It's just a courtesy. They let you in their home. You reciprocate and give them feedback, okay? So keep that in mind. Sometimes when you've seen somebody and someone will call you, some people don't have feedback things and they'll just call you. And they're like, yeah, you showed my listing. Which one was that? Well, this is the address. That didn't help me. The one with the red door on the corner by such. Oh yeah. Okay, I remember that one. The one that smells like cat pee. Oh yeah. No, we don't want that one. It helps if you've written something on your notes. Smells like cat pee. Has a red door. Buyers did not like the size of the yard, or things of that nature. It really helps with leaving your feedback if you write that on your own paper. So that was a little segue, but oftentimes we do name houses, the cat pee house, the such and such house. I mean, we end up with silly names. Let's see, while touring properties, it says to avoid making comments. Just remember, this is not about you. This is their house. Occasionally I'll say something like, oh, isn't this, look how cute this house is, or look at the size of this living room, and try to point out features. Every now and again I have to take a picture because I'm like, look at this, like totally Pinterest. And I've got people's houses in my phone, just items, because they're just so stinking cute. But try to point out features that they might like. That they wanted a large backyard, point that out. Try not to be like, that's the ugliest green paint I have ever seen. Let them make those calls. Let them make those decisions. Justin, okay, there you are.
Question. Did you just cuss and say the P word, Pinterest? Did you say that?
No,
Okay.
yes, I did.
I'm just sorry. I'm not bitter. I just hate that word.
Okay, funny thing is, my daughter-in-law bought her house because of Pinterest. She was on Pinterest in California, found this picture of a dining room she loves. She loves old homes. It had beautiful wood floors. Well, it just happened that this house that she's looking at in California is on 10th Street in Idaho Falls. We move up to Idaho. They moved up before we did. They moved up here, and she sees a house for sale in the numbered streets. She loves old houses, and she says, let's go look at it. So her and my son went to this house, and inside this house is this dining room that she had found on Pinterest in California. She's like, oh my gosh, it's the whole house. She saw all the pictures that she had pinned from this house there. And they bought that house because she loved it so much. She had saved it on Pinterest. It was her dream home. And they bought that house. Crazy. But it happens. Okay. Let's see. Help buyers identify their perfect home by pointing out the benefits, not the features, but some of the benefits like the lawn or the yard and things like that we talked about. Have the buyers rank the homes. Again, hearts and slashes work great. Finally, ask the buyers, can you see yourself living here? I have buyers I'm working with right now. We went and saw what they thought might be their dream home, cute, mid-century modern, right across the street from an elementary school that has good reviews, that they've heard good things about. They have 4 little boys. Really excited. We make an offer on it. The seller had said, we know the floor is bad, and kind of alluded that they would give some kind of flooring allowance. So we make this offer thinking, okay, well, we'll take the price to here because of that flooring allowance. They're like, oh no, we didn't fix it because we wanted you to just pick out whatever floor you wanted and you pay for it. Well, our offer was denied. They didn't even counter offer us, which I thought, okay, give me something to go off of. Give me a counter offer, but they didn't. Offer was denied, and my buyers were a little bit sore about it. Why didn't they just at least counter offer us? So we went and started looking at some other things, but this one always was in her head, just stuck with her. And she's like, no, let's go back and look at it again. So we went back and looked at it, and they said, okay. So I said, what's it worth to you? What can you do, or how can you come up with the money to do the flooring? We discussed it, and she said, no, this is it. And she's like, can we make another offer? So they brought their price up, and we made another offer. Well, now we're in a competing offer situation. Now there's 2 of us at the same time. Always happens. The interesting thing was that I was told that the sellers were so impressed that they were willing to come back. Plus, I had said, with my buyer's consent, they have 4 small boys that would go to school across the street. They literally walk out their driveway and cross the street. It's 20 miles an hour right there in front of their house. So they don't have to worry about high traffic. So there were just so many great things. And I had told some of this to the agent. Well, he told it to them. And because they used a local lender, we were under a little bit the other offer. And because of the personal connection that they felt with this young family, with the kids, we got it. We weren't the best price, but we had a local lender instead of it was an internet lender, and the sellers like, forget it, we don't want to use them. They didn't have any experience with them, but they loved the fact that their agent told them, hey, look, there was someone local. This is going to work. It's going to be great. And we got it. So sometimes people will come back around to something else that you would never have expected. Okay. Do you see yourself living here? She couldn't see herself living in any of the other houses we had looked at. So leave the home as you found it. When you go into a home, if the lights were off, sometimes light switches are the bane of my existence. You cannot find one to save your life. It's always the dumb pendant lights in the kitchen or some under something lighting. I'll do my very best, and oftentimes I'll call the agent and say, look, I tried every switch that I could find, and I did not find those lights. Sometimes just as a courtesy, and then people are really good. If you don't, they're like, oh, they're so rude, they didn't turn them off. It's like, I didn't know the light switch was in the island under the, how was I going to find that? So leave it the way you found it. Never touch the heat or the air conditioning. Vacant houses are so cold here. Wear gloves, wear jackets, wear scarves, wear hats, whatever you have to do. Never touch the heat or the AC. That's none of our business. Be sure to look for any touring notes that are given in the MLS. Again, cats, dogs, pets are away. Frightening thing, when they put their snarling beast of a dog, and I love dogs, in the basement in a kennel, but all of a sudden as you start moving around in the house, the dog hears you and is just, and all of you run for the door because you think it's coming up. It would be good to know that the pit bull is in the kennel in the basement, so you don't run for your lives. Scary. Had that happen before. So be mindful of pets and things like that. Just recently had an inspector and a buyer let out the seller that I referred, let their dog out. my seller was a little bit traumatized. Their great dog was somewhere. They were having a hard time getting him. One of the neighbors finally saw that he was out and was able to get him in. But just be really careful, because you don't want that to be an experience that you have. It says, okay, so I have not been leaving cards, because when I started in real estate, it always had the electronic box, and they know I've been there. My name's there. And so I brought it up one time, because some people do leave cards and some people don't. I get that. I'm like, why would someone leave a card? You have to pay for the printing, you know, and what are they going to do? Well, heck, when I've sold it, I gather up all your cards and I stick them in my pocket. When I get back to work, I throw them all in the trash. You know, but someone enlightened me one day and said, if you leave your card, then when that person, if it's an expired listing, let's say they go expired because it didn't sell, they very well may choose from one of the people who showed their house before. So that's one of the reasons you may want to leave a card. I can't say I've been really good about doing that. I need to get new cards made. But I thought, you never know what it's going to take for someone to pick you.
So I'm just trying to understand.
Sure.
So you mean when the listing expires and then if they go back to list it again, they've got your picture on this card. Okay, that's what you were talking about.
Yep. They might say, hey, you know what? She showed this 3 times. She has 3 business cards here. She knows this house. Let's go with her. You just never know what it's going to, do for someone. So there is a reason to leave your business card. You can choose to do that. And then if there's anything wrong, I walked into one house one day and it smelled so much like natural gas, and it was a vacant house. And so I just called the agent, hey, this really smells bad like natural gas. You may want to get someone in here. I was in a basement one time and it had been raining a lot. I'm like, there's a lot of water down here. So just courtesy, if you would want someone to tell someone you'd hate for something bad to happen because you just poo-pooed it. So I try to do it right while I'm there. So those are just some etiquette points that you will want to follow. So we're going to move on to buyer signals. Do you have any questions? I tend to talk fast and say what's the next thing in my head. Okay. So reading buyer signals. There's lots of things that could be buyer signals. One of the big ones will be body language or facial expressions. Sometimes people will walk into a home and they'll just light up. You can tell they feel like, oh, we found it. We finally found it. Or there's something that they love in that house. So watch their body language. You would have asked about their motivation. We're on page 22. You would have asked about their motivation unless you just happened to meet them when you got all the information from them in the first place. Are you just moving up? Are you relocating? Are you getting a new job? Did you just grow out of your last house? Those are different questions that you can ask them. Let's see. Asking detailed questions, such as about the seller's disclosure or the taxes. Sometimes those will be in the home. I try to bring up the taxes. Those are always written on the MLS sheet. Not always. Some listing agents will leave them out. So aggravating. But the taxes should be right here. And so I'll bring it up. Also watch your homeowner exemption. If it's been a rental before, there may not be an exemption on it. So those taxes may go down. Okay. And so that's what I'll tell them. These could go down by up to 40%. It may be less than that, but they could go down if it doesn't have the homeowner exemption. But taxes are important. They need to know if that's another $50 a month, another $400 a month, another whatever it is. And plus their homeowner's insurance too. So, keep those things in mind. The seller disclosure, oftentimes, if I was to spend all the time preparing for this and get out disclosures on every single one of these properties, it would take so much time and my time would not be well used. So what you want to do, I usually, they'll say, oh, do you have disclosures on that? We sure do. So as soon as we're done looking and you tell me which properties you really like, I'll pull the disclosures on those and send those over to you. I'm not going to spend my time pulling 15 houses worth of disclosures just to find out they didn't like any of them. Okay. Let's see. Sometimes you're in a home and they'll be like, man, I wish this family room was bigger. May just be bad furniture placement. Sometimes I'll say, well, what if you were to do this? What if you ran the sectional this direction, made this kind of, See what they need. See, it may make the family room the perfect size. They just have, some people will have a couch, a love seat, 2 recliners. I mean, you would think it was a movie theater in there. It's like, okay, hey, if you were to take out these 2 chairs and just had a couch and the love seat, this family room is actually really good size. So just help them with things like that. If they can place furniture, if they're like, oh, our coffee table would look really super right here, or our TV would go really great right there. You can tell that they're putting themselves into that home, and that's a good sign. If they compare it to other houses, if they sit down in the house, if you're in a home and they sit down on the couch and they're just kind of taking it all in, it's a pretty good sign. Let's see, if they become protective of the property and they don't want anybody else to see it, So I've had people ask, can we pull the sign when we leave? No.
Can you take the key with you?
But yeah, exactly. Can you lose the key? Yeah, several different things. So, when they get really protective, and then boy, you need to move fast. And if it's someone that who's selling the property, even if you don't know them, but I love it when it's someone that I do know and I just call them, hey, do you have any offers on this? Oh, you've got one coming in this afternoon? Okay, boom, I'm back and I'm writing as fast as I can but then I know now we're going to be in a competing offer situation. So at least we have the viewpoint that we're able to make an offer that could be competitive. If that's as high as they can go, that's as high as they can go. And maybe it's not the right one for them. If they ask for a second showing, that's a good thing. And sometimes if they say, oh, I love this house, but I wish it had a bigger yard. Or sometimes they'll just say, but it needs a bathtub in the master bedroom. Sometimes they'll say, well, are you opposed to bathing in the hallway bathroom? There's a bathtub there. You love everything else about the house. No, that would work. I guess it doesn't have to be in the master. And so all of a sudden they've changed their view and they can see, oh, this would work for us. So just thoughts there. Any questions? Are you guys bored to death or are you getting information? Be quiet, Justin.
I didn't even say anything yet.
I just asked if you were bored and your thing came on.
Well,
I'm teasing you. Do you have a question, Justin?
You can read my mind.
Pretty good with that body language.
We did that connecting with Pinterest. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. We're connected now.
No, I'm not bored. I'm super entertained. It's fantastic. I'm
okay.
Sorry about saying that. I apologize.
Glad to hear it.
So much. Okay. Continue. Go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
Justin before. I'm going to have to meet him now. Okay, so what you want to do when you've got all these houses and you want to bring them, page 24, you're basically doing the funnel thing. Lots of houses. It's just like the leads, appointments, listing, contacts. Same thing. You've got all these houses up here. Okay, let's narrow it down. You decide you don't want your kids to go to that high school. You want them to go to this one. Great. We're throwing all those out. We're not going to see them. Let's go look in Bonneville School District because that's where you want to be. Occasionally they may change their mind, but direct them towards what they ask you for. And then if you've exhausted those resources, they may consider, something else. But try to keep them focused. Otherwise, you could just see everything. But you're trying to get them to funnel things down. Let's see. There's just a lot of repetition in here. Try to get them to rank the property. Ask them if they want to purchase this home. And it's not a closing sales pitch. So, do you want to buy it? It's like, okay, we've looked at 3 houses together. It's not that, but it's, is this the home that you would want to spend your money on? Well, no, not really. Okay, well, why are we, let's move on. I also tell my buyers when we go out looking, if they walk into a home and they can tell right off the bat if the entryway is too narrow, if they hate the fireplace in the family room, if the kitchen is small and they don't like it, if it's a no, I just let them know, what's the point of looking at the rest of the house? If you want to see it, great. But if you don't, I'm not going to make you see the rest of it because you already don't like it. So let's move on to the next one. Yeah.
So I did that the other day. We walked into the house and instant cappy, like you said, just ooh. And so, yeah. He goes, oh, yep, we're good. Oh, sweet. Thank you so much. So we didn't have to walk through that because it stayed. And it was super great to eject out of that. So
yeah, let them know.
It saves time and hassle. So.
Yeah, they don't have to look at something that they don't like. Again, be courteous, and if you've made the appointment, at least unlock the box and then let them know why they didn't go in. But or go leave your card. But other than that, they don't have to look at the whole house. And some people will do it because they're in the house and it's in their head. If they don't see the whole thing, they'll just say, oh, let's run real quick. If you want to see the basement, run down there and then we'll take off. Also handy to have one of those vacants to slip in there, because now you've spent 3 minutes or a minute and a half in this house and your next appointment's not for 30 minutes. Great. We're going to run over here and see this one, because vacants you can usually go through pretty quick. So sometimes I love vacants. So ask them, can they see themselves in this home? Is this a home you'd want to purchase? Try to get it down to the top 2, maybe top 3. And then ask them, why are these your favorites? What is it that you like? Sometimes, okay, and this is kind of, I'm going to give you a tip. Sometimes you're looking with people and they tell you what they want, and then they buy a house that is totally different than what they want. And you've shown them homes that are built in 1960, and then they go over and talk to one of the local builders and buy something that's brand new. What's that about? When you start working with a client, register them with Rockwell if you live here in the area, even if they say that they're not looking for new homes. I have had it happen 2 or 3 times where they say, oh, no, we don't want new construction. And then they want new construction because they realize, wait, we're going to have to replace carpet, replace paint. We're going to have, and so they end up going over to new construction. So just register. If you don't know how to register someone at Rockwell, then come up to Jim Windmiller's office and we'll tell you how. I don't remember how. It's in my phone and I just do it. If you register with them with Rockwell, they'll pay you the 3%. So make sure you do it. It's worth doing. Yes.
Every builder have that, or is that just...
You know what? A lot of builders do. I know Karchner Home will do it as well. If the realtor brings someone, they will do it as well. So I believe Liberty does. And so they've planned it in their budget. These aren't custom homes. These are tract homes that anybody can buy. So they've built it into their budget because there is that chance that a real estate agent is going to bring a buyer. So they don't want to lose money on it. So they've already padded it. So, feel free to do that. And I've had people switch, and that's when there is a term out there that's called buyers or liars. And the reason that term is there is because they think they know what they want. And they'll tell you, absolutely not. I am not putting in a new yard. I am not paying top dollar for something brand new. I don't want that. And next thing you know, they're over talking to Rockwell. So it's not so much that they're liars as in, or they'll go there and they'll tell them, oh, I'm not working with a realtor. Nope. Because they think they're going to get a better deal if they say they're not working with a realtor. So you register them without, you don't even have to tell your buyers that you're registering them. Just register them, because they will often get rid of you if they think that they're going to get a better deal. Some people are very, ethical and oh no, I would never cut them out. And that's great. And others are like, I think I can save some money. So register them. I've had Rockwell actually call me and say, hey, that buyer you sent over, they said they weren't working with you. I'm like, oh, gee. But the good news was I had sent, I had registered them. I still got it, but he's like, yeah, they're just FYI. So it's just kind of funny. And then help them to make the offer. That's the big thing is once you get it down to the house, be timely in making your offer. Call the agent, ask if it's still available. Sometimes I would have a hard time with that. I don't want to alert the agent that I'm bringing an offer, because what if they have 3 other agents, because I've done this before. If an offer comes in, call me. Boom, I just told them now we're in a competing offer situation. But you don't want to also find out that they just accepted an offer and you just spent 40 minutes typing it up or more, it seems like. Because of all, back and forth with the client and writing all the paperwork. You don't want to find out, oh, we just accepted an offer and we were just going to put it pending. So it goes both ways. You just have to decide how you want to do it. You can alert them that one's coming, or you can just surprise them. If you send an offer, when you send an offer, you'll email the offer to them. Always text them or call them and tell them, I've sent you an offer on this property, and put in the address. We've had it happen before with the Jim Windmiller group where we'll get a call like a day later. Hey, I haven't heard anything. Were you guys going to respond to that offer? What offer? It never showed up. It didn't show up in our email. We didn't see it in our spam. We didn't know we were looking for an offer because no one told us that they had sent us an offer. If they had told us, we could have immediately looked, oh, yep, got sent to spam, or said, hey, we've got nothing, resend it. So always follow up with a call or a text. That's huge. And it makes you look better to your buyers. Let's see. Don't let your clients buy a home that's not good for them. I can't say it that way. Help them not to feel like they have to buy something. The same gal who wanted the house and then they didn't get it and then they ended up getting it after the fact. What did she say? She's like, well, let's keep looking. And I said, that's great. We'll look at anything you want. I said, but keep in mind, if you want a new home, there are new neighborhoods. If you decide you want that, there are new neighborhoods opening up. One in South Idaho Falls, one in West Idaho Falls. There's all kinds of things. So if you don't have to move, you may want to wait till spring. Is that best for my pocketbook? Well, no, I could get the commission right now, but it's the best thing for their family. And you know what's funny? People see that. They see when you're genuine and they see when it's about them and not about you, and they'll come back to you. So, but they ended up buying anyways because they realized that that was the house that they wanted. Okay, let's see. Customer experience focus on page 31. Is there anything that anybody takes with them when they go to show homes? Some of you may not have even shown homes yet. I know when I took Ignite, I wasn't even an agent yet. I was in the agent classes, but I couldn't show homes. I didn't have a license. And so are there anything that you think might be helpful for showing homes? Hello?
I think that open houses are awesome. I've done 2 and got like 10 or 12 different leads off of that.
Good.
I know that's not what you just asked, but
No, those are huge though, because oftentimes open houses will have 2.
well, and they're serious people. They're there for a reason, unless you get that nosy neighbor from next door. But
right.
When I'm showing the house or something, I like. Well, my first one was terrible because I was hovering, and that was irritating to that one gal. And she's like, "Hey, can you back up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, I didn't have any idea." And so then I kind of let everybody wander around and then let them do their business. And then if they had questions, then I would answer that as I could. But hopefully that helps and not just some distraction. Right.
No, it's good. And you know what? If you're just starting out, there are lots of agents who will let you do open houses for them, and it is a good way to meet people. If you get more than 2 people there, you've had a successful open house. Sometimes they're just not successful, but you could meet, out of 2 people, you may meet 1 good buyer. So give it a whirl.
So your question before,
yes.
there's a flashlight on my phone.
Yep.
Sometimes in those basements, there's not a light, and so that's come in handy on a couple occasions. I haven't had to pull out my tape measure very often, but I have one in the car just in case, because sometimes they're like, how big is this picture window?
Right.
We can answer that curiosity. If I don't have a contract with them already, because sometimes they might be a sign call.
Right.
Then usually I print out kind of a blank that has everything that's regular in there, and then we'll just fill out the rest while they're just to get contracts started.
Sure.
I have time MLS sheet of that property that they want to let me bring. I'll take one of those. That's what I've got.
Sure. No, it's great. I can't tell you how many times people have asked me, do you have a tape measure? And I did have one in my car. And then I don't know if my husband or my son borrowed it, but I don't have one in my car again. So I need to get a new tape measure in my car and make it bright pink or something. They'd still take it. But cell phones are great. You've got your flashlight on there. You've got your MLS information if you didn't get to print things up. So cell phones are really helpful in that respect. If you are showing a HUD home or a vacant home, sometimes they've turned off the electricity and you cannot see a thing in the basement. Sometimes a flashlight is helpful, but because the flashlight on your phone may drain your battery, but the phone would work just fine. With our phones, we have cameras, so if we want to take a picture of something, we can. That's funny. They say tissues and toilet paper. How many times have you been out with someone where they're like, I'm dying and I have to go to the bathroom? Well, it's almost winter time, so you have to be very careful not to let them use a bathroom in a house that's been winterized. You will blow it. You will then have the water running again. It will have to be re-winterized. So I try to take them to a gas station or a restaurant or something and, okay, hang tight and we'll get you right there. We'll get you to a bathroom. Occasionally you'll be with someone who has children. You'll be in a home that obviously is occupied. There's toilet paper. They use that toilet every day. Use your judgment. I would hate to tell a small child, no, you have to hold it, but they're potty training. But it's funny, they say bring toilet paper. Office supplies, just, make sure you have a pen with you. It's hard to write notes if you don't have a pen. However, you can still do it on your cell phone. I always carry water bottles in my car. People get thirsty. Oftentimes we will just pound out houses and then I'll just realize that you haven't eaten and you haven't had anything to drink and you're just, you're exhausted and you're dying. You're dry mouth. So I always keep water bottles in my car. And if I know I'm going to be with small children, I have put fruit snacks in my car. And that's helped them to behave in the house because I'll tell them, especially some people don't watch their kids real well and they're just everywhere. And so I'll have one help me with the key box and we switch off because they think it's the coolest thing ever. So I'll let them help me with the key box and I'll ask them if they'll be my helper. And then they try to stick a little bit closer to you. Because they're your helper. So I'm like, okay, I need you to help me with the light switches now. So you just kind of try to make them your ally instead of the holy terror that's jumping on beds in the house, which is horrifying. And then I'll tell them, I've got a treat for you. I always ask the parents, can I have fruit snacks? Yeah, they can have fruit snacks. Great. And then, so I tell them, okay, stay right with us. And we're just going to look at all the houses and you help me with the light switches. And when we get back to my car, I'll give you some fruit snacks. So those have been helpful. I have eaten the fruit snacks myself, though. What's that?
Bribery as a grand practice.
Totally works. Absolutely. So yeah, entertainment. What's that?
Can I interrupt you again?
Yeah.
I went to a house and the heater, that moisture thing that gets the moisture out of the heater. That hose had blown off in one of the houses, and it in fact happened to my house. And so what it does is it gets rid of the moisture that grows in the gas furnace. Well, it had leaked all over the house, all over the basement. It was about 8 foot round. And so I immediately called that agent and he was so grateful. So I shoved that hose back in there. And before I even left and was done showing the house, that they were there fixing it.
Oh, nice.
I would just, I'm a handyman before. And so
yep.
It's good to keep your eyes open and let the agent know too. So
absolutely. And I'm not a handyman. And I also have this feeling of, what if I break it? So I would probably leave it right where it was and call the agent and say, hey, something's leaking in the basement. You should probably get someone over here ASAP. It's a big puddle. And that way there's no liability. But since you know what you're doing, you have access to that. I actually recently just heard of someone who was trying to be helpful and they realized that a panel on the furnace was like falling off. And so they screwed it on, went right through the vents, and it was the house was leaking carbon monoxide. The family started to get sick. And it was just enough that everyone in the family was sick and not feeling good, and they couldn't figure out why they were sick. And someone else walked into that house, and the second they hit the door, they're like, whoa, I can smell gas, because the gas was leaking too. And they all went to the hospital and had to be put in hyperbaric chambers and reoxygenated or whatever they do. So it's great to be helpful, and I am not pointing fingers at you, Justin. That's an easy one, and you knew exactly what you were doing. But be careful. Let them take care of things so you don't end up in any kind of sometimes the best deeds, what is it? No good deed goes unpunished. Sometimes that happens. So sometimes it's best to even call the agent and let them know if it's nothing major. You can just screw it back on. The door lock came off, just screw it back on because it popped off when you came in. No big deal. So big things. When you're showing homes to people, know what their must-haves are. If they want a big island in the kitchen, don't show them galley kitchens. Don't show them, homes that don't have an island at all. They'll walk in and be like, no, my dream is, a big island. I like the house, but the kitchen's not going to work. So don't spin your wheels. But I will tell you, that I took this couple out. They called me. We're coming up from California. We want to see houses. We have to buy this weekend because ours is under contract. Great. What are your must-haves? We really want to shop. Great. What's your price range? $150. Great. But funny thing was, there was the perfect house, older home, needed all the carpet ripped out of it. It was still livable, but dated and ugly. Beautiful shop. They hadn't picked that one. So they had a list of all the ones that they wanted to see, you know, that they made sure that I got appointments for those. And then I made an appointment for this one that I thought they should see because I thought that shop, they bought the one that wasn't even on their list because the shop itself was so great and there were hardwoods under all the carpet. Hardwood floors. Okay. Sometimes it pays. Listen to your instincts. Sometimes it pays to, you know, to bring something that they didn't necessarily choose. Okay. Any ahas from today? Anything helpful? I won't be offended if there were none. Justin, thank you so much for sharing. You have good insight. All right. Well, you guys are lucky. Party's over. Thanks so much for coming. And if you have questions about anything that I've said, feel free. I'm up just upstairs in Jim Windmiller's office, wherever it is. And feel free to come. I'm more than happy to help people. I'll do whatever I can. And if I don't know, I'll send you to Tori.
You're awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Have a great day, guys.
You too.
Where did Latoya go? I don't even know how to turn this off.
It's being over 21, but under 25. I mean, older than 25 sucks. We don't know the technology.
Yeah. It's this whole shared screen end meeting.